That's right, folks. Welcome to Retro 89. Just tuning in. Well, this is going to be a special show. I'm truly excited. I have a friend of mine. She's here. Her name is Atiqa Odho. You all know her. Of course, she's an actress. She's a producer. She's done a lot of things. And some of the... I don't think 120 minutes would pack it in. Atiqa, it's great to have you on Retro 89. And she's got everything ready, by the way. She's quite techie, by the way. I have no clue what she's up to, but she's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, she's got 2 machines out here. Atiqa, fantastic.
Hi.
Great to have you. You know, we've been meaning to get you over, and because you know your music, you love your music, and you gave me the list, and it's quite interesting. It's quite a great mix from Neil Diamond to Bob Dylan to Earth, Wind and Fire. Let's groove. I like that. So Atiqa, tell me, where did it all start, this love for music?
Well, firstly, I'd like to say hello to everybody. I'm really excited I'm here because Aamer, you and I've wanted to do this for a while and I've just not been able to get around. And, I'll co-host with you today. What do you think?
No, why co-host? Just take over.
I'll just take over.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, please. And if it's going live, they'd rather look at you than me. I mean, go on, take over.
No, it's great fun. I adore radio. Radio is just such a fantastic medium because you can actually switch on the radio anywhere, in your car, in the bathroom, in your office, and you don't have to be in front of a screen. It's all about listening and your ears. You could be multitasking while you're listening to the radio. It's just a fantastic medium. So I'm really excited.
So you must have been really young at that time, but I'm sure Sammy will know this. Is there used to be 1:30? There used to be a 1:30 show. Mm-hmm. Right, and that would be on every day, and then you'd have one at 10:30. You know that?
Is that your way of saying that Sammy's much older than me?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. You're going to get me into trouble.
Yep.
But so you had that half an hour slot for people in Karachi and nationwide, where you had a fantastic presenter called Eddie Carapiet. Mm-hmm. And for a while, there was a lady called Fawzia Mong.
Yes, of course.
And she used to host. I had her as my guest, by the way.
No, so she's Fawzia auntie to me, right?
Okay, that's right.
Uncle Shah and Auntie Fawzia. Yeah. And I grew up in their lab.
That's why I said you must have been very young when that show came out.
So Fawzia auntie is one of my favorite people. And of course, everybody recognizes and remembers her voice. Yeah. And she's done multiple sort of, voice ads and a lot of radio, a lot of like voiceovers. So very famous voice, actually, very popular voice. True. And a wonderful person. And I think it's so lovely that you're mentioning her here today because she's been very close to us as a family friend.
So what I did, I convinced her. She said, no, I can't do radio. I said, look, you started this way back in the early 70s. And she was a bit shy, but I brought her in, and there were actually people texting in who actually recognized. And we had listeners saying that, oh, my grandmother has actually recognized the voice. But in the at 10:30 onwards, you had a gentleman called Eddie Carapiet, smooth as silk. His voice was absolutely Dean Martin.
Okay.
So you had that half an hour slot where you had all the top hits playing, and one would be glued. So radio was huge back then.
Yeah.
It's made a comeback now, but you've got a lot of stuff for digital and podcasts and everything. But for you, where did it all start? Did it start from your parents? Was it?
So my love of music comes from having been exposed to a lot of really good quality music as a child. I would say the Western sort of world, that introduction came from my father, and the Eastern sort of classics sort of came from my mother. So I had a real mix of music that I grew up with, and a lot of it still stays with me. But over the years, I have actually picked up a lot of music when I've lived away or I've traveled. If I go to a new country, the first thing I do is I go into a music store, or I'll Google up. Now it's all about, Googling up something. I'll Google up, okay, what if I go to Turkey, I'll Google up, Turkish music. Because I just love music. It doesn't matter if I can understand the words or not understand the words. It's really all about emotionally what a tune makes me feel. And I think like most people, music connects us to so many things. Like I'll hear a song, like you're going to play some of the music today, and I can actually tell you what memories come up with that song, you know.
Yeah.
So there's connections to what we grow up listening to, and also what we listen to through our lifetime. And it's such an exciting time because there's so much music out there in the world today, with language not being a barrier, and it's all on our fingertips now, which is incredible. So I'm really, really excited about what's happening in music, and especially in Pakistan. I mean, if you look at what the young kids are doing in music here, it's just incredible. In fact, when we spoke on the phone, I sort of mentioned to you that when they bring up the classics in Coke Studio, they kind of introduce the younger kids to the classics that they probably didn't, hear.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah.
That we need to talk about extensively.
Yeah.
So I've got Akbar, who listens to Retro every Sunday, and he loves cooking desi food. So he cooks for the family. He's a bit of a chef. And he's got Retro blaring away at 7:30.
Nice.
All the way in Los Angeles. So we've got a couple of messages out here, Atiqa, who are... want to say hi to them?
So Sher Ali Khan and Imad Hamid, thank you so much for welcoming me on the show. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm delighted that you're listening to us today.
Madam D, Mr. T, great to have you, of course, listening. What a great song that was.
Neil Diamond.
Where does that take you?
So, like when girls turn into women, they have this thing about men who have a certain aura. And I think Neil Diamond came across as a guy who had the energy that a young girl looked up to, as in, oh my God, what a handsome man and what a beautiful voice. And I think if you were to never look at Neil Diamond physically, just the voice makes you fall in love with him. And that was the beauty of Neil Diamond always. And every song of his is a classic.
Well, he did some great stuff. Solitary Man, Sweet Caroline.
It's a long list.
It's a long list.
I think at that time it was like Neil Diamond, Lionel Richie. Those are the voices that I sort of really was into.
Lionel Richie came later.
But wow.
No, actually he didn't. Actually, when he was with
yeah.
the Commodores, that was with Motown, that was slightly earlier. But it's I don't normally watch Pakistani dramas. I don't watch them at all. And so when I knew that you were coming in, so I said, let me just switch on the TV and see if I can catch it. And boom, guess what happens? Yesterday I catch this TV show which had you and Marina Khan and Nadia Khan, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a review of the weekly dramas. Is that what it?
So it's a show called Kya Drama Hai, and it runs on YouTube as well as on 24 News. And what we do is we watch episodes of certain dramas through the week that are getting a rating, or let's say are newly launched. There's a sort of formula how we sort of the team selects which ones we're reviewing, and then we kind of sit and we talk about it as three judges is I hate the word, but we sit there and we kind of review it with Mukarram Kaleem, who's the host of the show and also the producer. And the idea is to kind of share what we are feeling about what's on screen, not just with an audience, but also with people who are aspiring actors, directors, assistant directors, writers, because we kind of break down the episode and we talk about the technical, we talk about the craft, we talk about the industry, we talk about things because we're stakeholders and we're on sets every day. We talk about the challenges in the trade, which is very exciting, and I'm really, really happy to say that our community is watching the show very closely, because it's everybody wants to get like a number 10 that we're doing the best.
Sure.
So it's really exciting what's happening with that show right now.
Fantastic, great. I absolutely adore Aretha Franklin. And there's not one song that is just not listenable. She's just absolutely brilliant. Morning, my friend. Hope all is well. Welcome your guest, Ghalib Fancy. Now, he's listening from Toronto, by the way.
Nice.
Ghalib, I've got Atiqa Odho, who's... well, you know what, Atiqa, instead of me, why don't you just tell me exactly what all you have done, and then we'll get to what you're doing right now. Because you've done so many things. I mean, it's not just dramas, it's just musical theatre. We'll talk about that in the second half. I mean, films.
So Aamer, very few people know this about me. I would have loved to have been a singer. but I don't have a natural singing voice.
Maria Callas.
Acting comes really naturally. It's like a second skin. But I did 4 years of musical theatre voice training when I lived in New York with a lady called Joyce Lynn. She was actually in the first production of The King and I herself. So she had that kind of background. Both her parents were musicians, and she was an actor and musician. And I had some fantastic sort of, it was experience was just incredible, because she taught me so much, not just about how to use the voice and the body and the vocals, but also she gave me so much insight into how musical theatre worked. And how it kind of connected with life, and how those words, rather than just the spoken word, became musically inclined. And I think musical theatre, a lot of people, when I say to them, look, you should watch or listen to some musical theatre, because it's really a different kind of animal compared to like just songs or just dry theatre without music. And they say, no, we're not interested in musical theatre. But actually, the best way to listen to music is musical theatre, because they really know how to put down the words to a tune where there's clarity, and the understanding of the lyrics is clear, and the way they use their breath and the pauses. There's some beautiful music out there in musical theatre.
So I'll tell you what you should be waiting for, and I'm waiting for that one too, is Angelina Jolie. She's playing Maria Callas. And I cannot wait for that, because I was a big fan of Maria Callas, who did a great soprano. She did some great stuff for Puccini's, Verdi, Wagner. And that movie should be out, I think, end of the month. And apparently she's done a fantastic.
Well, I mean, if she's got the right instructors, then yes. Or otherwise, then they're going to just let her lip sync.
So why did you then not pursue that?
Well, I mean, I moved back, and nobody here is really interested in musical theatre, and it's a totally different, style. Television has very little music, unfortunately. The only thing that's coming up now are the soundtracks, which are beautiful. In fact, in our review show, we talk about this a lot, that we aren't actually promoting the songs, the soundtracks and the OSTs. We should be promoting them, because we have very limited film music in this country. We have a lot of drama music coming now, and there's some beautiful work being done by the musicians. So we need to start to promote that angle, that aspect of music in Pakistan for sure, which is quite neglected at the moment, unfortunately. So every song takes you somewhere. That's my point that I was discussing earlier. I have to be honest, sometimes I don't want to hear a particular song, because I probably don't want to go back there,
Of course.
So sometimes when it runs, when a song comes up on the radio, and I feel like, oh no, it's taking me somewhere, I just don't want to, it's too emotional, I'll switch the radio off even.
So the songs I normally don't want to hear are the ones where I was dumped in a relationship.
So I mean not everything is a happy memory, right? Sometimes you have a connection with music when you're going through your lowest period of your life. In fact, that's when you have more of a connection with music, because you need something to help you expel those emotions.
Sure.
We talk a lot about music that we like, but we don't talk about music that we kind of want to avoid, because it brings up some deeper issues, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So there's one song that I would hate listening to, and that was by Gilbert O'Sullivan. I don't know if you remember that song. It's called Claire. Remember that one?
I don't think.
Claire, the moment I saw you there.
Oh, yes.
Really,
Bichara, uska gana.
Yeah, I know. It was one of those things. Let me read out a few messages and we'll get back to... so there's Dr. Faisal Ahmed. Now, he's a regular listener.
Okay.
And he says... wow, I tune in after a while and I find Atiqa Odho on your show. Please ask her 3 questions. Has she ever had the club sandwich from Spinzers, and did she love it?
Yes, and I loved it. And I love my Ampies,
well done.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Hi, Faisal.
Okay. All right. No, but, and that just to have ketchup or pani ke saath mixed.
I mean, listen, those are like the days, like we all grew up. Now it's like a food fest in Karachi, right? But when we were younger, there were so few places where you went for like those sort of sandwiches even, right?
Question numero 2 was, has she ever driven a Mazda 800? I'm not too sure. Did you have a Mazda 800?
I'm trying to remember what my first car was. I can't remember now. I remember I bought it with a bit of income I made when I first started in my acting career. I don't remember. Maybe it was a Mazda. I can't remember really. Yeah.
And the third one is, can you please play Leonard Cohen? When did she lose the New York accent?
Faisal, I never had a New York accent. I always had this very, Jesus and Mary British kind of accent, and luckily I never picked up the American twang. So I couldn't lose it, obviously, then.
Tell me, Atiqa, why don't you tell me something that I think the listeners would like to know about Atiqa Odho? I mean, we know that about dramas, films, musical theatre, TV host and all, but why don't you tell us something that the listeners don't know about Atiqa Odho?
Well, I think my life now at this stage of my life has become pretty boring. I'm very sort of stable, settled, married to a man that I adore. My kids are all settled. I have 2 dogs that I love, Bella and Badmash. I have a very low-key life. I'm on sets a lot. I'm working much more than I did in my younger days. The challenges are less, thank God. I think as you get older, you kind of, if you're lucky, your life kind of starts to find its own balance, which is great. In my younger days, when I was starting off in the business of television and film and media, it was a very exciting but a very, very difficult time also, because I was a young mom and I brought, my kids were on the sets with me all the time, and I had to go do the school run and I had to get to work, and it was crazy. But, one got through it. And now I've got kids who are in the business and I'm really proud of them. My elder daughter is a producer. My son is into audio and sound design. My youngest is studying art. So it's really nice to see all the children settled, because that, I think, for a working mom is one of the greatest challenges, is how do you find that life balance? And at this stage, I think I'm kind of quite settled, which is lovely. People who want to know about my career can Google it up. I have a website also, and plus everything comes up now. It's scary, actually. Things come up that even I don't know, like, when did I do this, so it's been very great fun, very exciting, and I'm so blessed. Like, people even calling or writing in today, one feels really blessed that the work one has done has made an impact somewhere along the line.
So your husband and you share the same kind of music, or is it very different?
Well, except for his very heavy metal stuff, everything else.
He's into heavy metal?
Well, he likes heavy metal,
okay.
And I don't.
Like
that's
what?
One kind of genre I don't.
And that's one kind of music I actually never got into.
Yeah, neither did I.
I enjoyed stuff like Steppenwolf and when. Seen the movie Easy Rider?
No.
Easy Rider, 60s.
I think there's
quintessential hippies sort of great soundtrack. Okay. It had Dennis Hopper, and I'm sure your husband knows about that movie. But yeah, it was too loud. It was too loud for me.
No, so the thing is that I think what he would not like, which I love, is like opera, musical theatre. Those are things that he's not into. But you talk about the Neil Diamonds or any of the stuff we're playing today. We both love this kind of music, and in fact, a lot of our time we spend in the evenings is watching the videos or like the Kennedy Honors sort of shows.
That's a lot. Well, it's funny that you said that he enjoys being a heavy metal guy, because when we were growing up, if you went to heavy metal and somebody mentioned Neil Diamond, they actually made fun of you. Actually
really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You ask your husband; he'll actually confirm that.
Have you been to Capri recently?
No.
You must.
Really?
They have the best screen in the country. The best sound system in the country.
Have you actually gone and seen a movie there?
Oh, lots. I know the gentleman who owns the place, and I've taken groups of friends, and every time a movie comes out, like when the Bond film came out or a Pakistani film comes out, we go and we make an evening out of it. And the sound and the visual quality at Capri Cinema is fantastic.
Really? I didn't know that. I have to do that, because Karachi was, Atiqa, it was such a great city for cinema, because you had cinema halls everywhere.
Yeah.
When I say everywhere, from Malir to Nazimabad, and interestingly, the one area that never had cinema halls was Clifton and Defence. So you had cinema halls in Tariq Road, you had cinema halls in Nursery,
That's because you didn't have the volume in Clifton and Defence in
That's
those
right.
days, right?
That's
The
right.
population used to be on that side.
Yeah.
But this is what happens. Like when I actually jumped from television to film in the 90s, I decided to sign my first movie, Urdu movie. And everybody was like, you're crazy.
Which one was it?
Jo Dar Gaya Wo Mar
That's
Gaya.
right.
It was on that cinema for 6 months.
that's
And everyone was like, she's crazy, she's going to Pakistani films. And I was very clear. I was like, if we don't start putting a little bit of our own efforts into this, cinema's dying and it'll keep dying. And I think I was lucky enough to see that time and that era of cinema in Pakistan, and I'm seeing the one now. And when you kill a product like film, you kill so much with it.
Right.
I saw so many people starve and die, and talent that got wasted. And in those days, it was those old babas who used to hold the registers and make us dub on the big screen.
Yes.
Now it's boys sitting on computers, So the thing is that, when you kill a whole sector of entertainment, the amount of people that suffer, it's unbelievable. I think the public needs to demand more cinema coming out. And of course, if we have films, we'll have more cinemas come up. We need product, right? A few years ago, I had this conversation with the Film Association, and I said, we're building all these sort of, big sort of cinema houses and stuff, but we're bringing canned stuff. And you can't rely on canned stuff, right? You have to start to also invest into the actual movies. Till we don't invest into the actual product, what are you going to do? I said, I have seen cinemas turn into tandoors in this country, or malls or shopping arcades.
I know, but I was in Lux. I was one of the jury members for about 4 years to select Best Pakistani cinema. And I'll be honest, for every 10, there were just 2 that were.
Of course, and that's what's going to happen. But if you look,
one was Shah and one was Manto, and I was on the jury on those.
So listen, we have a lot of very good potential filmmakers sitting in this country who are doing a lot of good work on television or on OTT now. They just need the financial support.
Yeah.
They need the state support. Luckily, the government has recognized us as an industry now, and film business has got like a 5-year tax sort of exemption. So if you bring in equipment or you're making a movie or whatever, for 5 years they won't tax you on it. So the state is kind of helping, but it's so late and it's so little. We all need to understand that soft imaging of a country comes from your music, from your drama.
Sure.
Our drama is right now creating that soft image, which is great. But cinema, you see, it's not just about here. When you make a movie, when you make a Pakistani movie, there's an audience everywhere in the world. When a play of mine about 12, 13, maybe nearly 14 years ago now did really well, called Humsafar, the whole world watched
That was
it.
huge.
The whole world watched it. It's subtitled. It got dubbed in Mandarin, went to China. It got dubbed in Arabic, went to Saudi. It went everywhere in the world. So what I'm saying is, even language is not a barrier now. You can actually subtitle or dub. Like we watch Turkish. A lot of Turkish content comes here dubbed in Urdu.
Sure.
So, when you make a product, the overall, the environment, the traditions, the everything goes across the world, or who you are as a people. So we need to continue supporting cinema, because there are cinema houses all over the world that run our films now. Maula Jad did so well,
Right.
all over the world.
And I hear it's going across also.
I hope. Let's see.
across.
We'll see if India opens its doors to us again, because that's all very political, unfortunately.
sure.
And we should work together, because art should not have politics involved.
shouldn't. I
It
agree.
should not have borders. It should not have boundaries.
Right.
The audience should not be deprived of a collective effort of creatives.
Sure.
So it's unfortunate when you politicize the soft image ambassadors of a country.
Sure. Right, let's get back to the Atiqa Odho show. It's not retro today. It's only about Atiqa Odho. I'm going to read out some messages. Atiqa is, hi Aamer, how are you doing this evening? I just tuned into your show. Retro 89. Your today's guest sounds very familiar. She sounds like Atiqa Odho, if I'm not mistaken. Atiqa, does the guest sound like Atiqa Odho? It is?
No, so I'm delighted somebody actually recognizes my voice. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So again, music, voice, all these things are you can pick up on, even when people dub. Like we see animated films and stuff, and you can immediately pick up on who's done the the voice for a
Sure.
particular character,
Sure,
right?
Sure, sure. You know, you're talking about cinema, and whereas I agree with you that you need to have more movies coming out, and you see a lot of these younger Pakistanis coming back with degrees from abroad and trying to, but generally, do you think people are not going to the cinemas as they did because of all that's happening, digital, YouTube, Netflix?
Of course, there's a lot.
Watching it in your
So people
lounge.
have a lot of options, yes.
Right.
And people are also impatient. They want a remote in their hands and they want to flip, through channels.
And the movies are shorter also because you don't have those Lawrence of Arabia's 3 hours. I don't think people can sit through.
No.
Or those Merlings, War and Peace, those epic movies.
Yeah, but I mean, they just had a 3-hour film, Oppenheimer, right? So I mean,
They had it, but it went straight to Netflix.
yeah.
It went
So
straight
the
to
thing is that
Netflix.
people have an attention issue now. People don't have the time or the patience, and I
Right.
think what these smartphones have done is they've made us very sort of addictive to very quick sort of.
I can't watch. I can't. There's
quick
no way
release,
I can
you
watch
know?
it. I don't know how people do that. They
Yeah.
watch. There's no way.
No,
I
but
can
the
watch
phone
it.
itself. I mean, it's not just about what you're watching on it. It's
Right.
about just, like for instance, I can't read a book anymore. Because I'm either on a computer or on a laptop or on my phone. And when I try and read, I used to love reading actual paperbacks, right?
Right.
And now when I start to read an actual paperback, third or fourth page, I fall off to sleep.
Right.
It's like a lullaby for me,
Yeah.
So it's changed us. These screens have changed us, and I don't know if it's for the better or for the worse, because I mean, it's like all these things that we used to enjoy doing, like meeting people.
Sure.
A lot of us have become introverts or isolated, or we just want to go home and sit on our recliner and watch our movie. The screens have made us into people that we weren't growing up. Growing up, we were more interactive. We were into sports. We were into community. We used to socialize. We should
Just going to the cinema it was just so exciting. I mean, can you imagine getting to the cinema hall? Then, of course, we had Chinese meal after that.
Yeah. Yes.
Standard chicken corn soup
Yes.
and watching
Wow.
a movie. It was so much fun, and just getting a cold drink and that roll.
It was a whole experience.
The roll that they would
Yeah.
sell. You remember with the chicken?
Especially if you were on a date.
Especially if you were on a date. Oh my God! You couldn't sleep the night before.
Yes. It's so exciting, right?
Unbelievable it was. Who all have you seen live? Have you?
Oh my God! I've seen Elton John. I've seen Prince.
You've seen Prince?
I've seen Prince.
You're joking.
No, I have.
If there's somebody
Fantastic.
who is just incredibly talented,
I saw him on Madison Square Garden.
he's just incredible. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
what a showman, right?
Yeah, amazing. Even Elton John was great. And I've seen Gypsy Kings. I've seen
Bamboleo.
and I've seen so many. I've seen Stevie Nicks.
Where did you see Gypsy Kings?
In England. In
In
London.
England?
In London, yes.
In the 80s.
Yeah, in the late 80s.
That's when I saw them.
Oh, maybe we were the same concert
Yes,
and we didn't
we
know.
were. Yeah.
Could
Wow.
be. Yeah.
Because that's when they actually
Yeah.
had just come out.
Yeah. And then Fleetwood Mac I've seen. I've seen
80,
so many.
88, 89.
I've actually seen Earth, Wind and Fire also.
You're joking.
I've seen
Earth,
live.
Wind and Fire live, it's just something else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an experience.
And then
Wow.
I've seen a lot of theatre. Like musical theatre. Like Phantom and King and I and Cats and it's a long
The
list.
King and I must have been brilliant.
Oh, King and I my first musical show that I saw in London, my
You
khala
remember
took
that
me
famous line by Yul Brynner?
was which one? There were so many.
Etc. Etc. Etc.
And he was so good.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, and the music was so fantastic.
Yeah.
I love watching plays and shows that have musical elements coming into them, because it's lovely to see how they kind of unfold then, Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the old movies of Gene Kelly and
Yes, and also like West
Singing.
Side Story. So listen, so
Yeah.
again, like La La Land.
Yeah.
Recently. Or
Fantastic.
The Greatest Showman.
Superb.
Or Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge.
Right? So the thing is that I love movies
Which one,
like that.
Moulin Rouge?
The recent one. Nicole Kidman one,
Okay,
yes.
Because the original had Mel Ferrer in it.
I haven't seen the original. I
Great.
should.
Superb.
So I love, again, movies that have music, and they're done so well and they do well. So I don't know why we don't make more of those anymore. Even in our plays, I keep talking about how you can actually have musical elements come in. So one of the projects that I did in my start of my career was called Dasht. And Dash was actually a musical serial. And it's one of the classics even today. I'm like, I don't know why they don't bring in more music into the plays also. They should.
Yeah.
It's just a soundtrack, it's just like a cover, title song, and they should bring music. And also we have a lot of musicians that cross over as actors today.
Sure.
So they should get them to actually sing the songs in the play or in the film. And it would just be a whole album, right?
Like was what's his name? He's the biggest star. Fuad?
Yes,
He was a musician, right?
Yes, he is a
He was in a
musician.
band.
Yes.
Right.
And he sings, he's a fantastic singer.
Right.
So we've got a lot of crossover artists who are musicians and actors. And, I think they're underutilized. We should actually be converting these narratives into musical pieces.
Right.
Because we have the voices.
Yeah. So one of the earlier musicals I saw, which was a great movie, was Mark Lester's, I don't know, Oliver Twist.
Wow.
Do you remember Oliver Twist?
Yes.
Mark Lester?
Yes.
It was fantastic. You know what? Why I'm actually enjoying retro today so different, because it's not my playlist. I don't have to think of, and I'm actually loving it. I'm actually loving the
mix.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. This is a brilliant song that I think wanted to dedicate this to somebody, this song, yeah?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, you can look at him. It's
Okay.
You can wave at him.
Okay, yes.
can wave.
Best thing that ever happened to me.
Okay, you can wave at him. That's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about musicals, and you mentioned A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen the new one, the Lady Gaga one.
You must.
I should.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like I saw the 1975, which is also a remake of the original one, which is 1954 with Judy Garland and James Mason, which is still considered the best. But I love the Chris Christopherson and Barbra Streisand one,
Of
because
course.
Barbra Streisand, oh, what a singer, what an absolute diva she is. But I guess the newer one is for this
So it's set in
generation.
our times. Like it's a classic that's been recreated over certain decades, right? So you should see it because it's more now, and it'll be interesting to sort of see how they've done it.
Yeah.
It's the same idea, same concept, same sort of franchise
Right.
that they've created in our time, and it's lovely. It's a lovely. So you know the story because you've seen it before.
Sure.
So nothing surprises you. But the way they've done it, and I think the way Bradley Cooper has directed it is incredible. And
He's in the movie too, right?
He's in the movie, he does the main lead, and he's directed it. And of course, Lady Gaga is fantastic.
She's super. Let me just read out some messages. Great to hear the laughter of amazing Atiqa Odho.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. A very good topic for discussion on this show. Cinema industry, Pakistan film industry should get financial funding by the government for making changes for films on the basis of good directors, producers, writers and actors. And this way the industry definitely can flourish. But the approval should be on merit. Great show. Well, there you have it.
Yeah, and you know what? You don't have to do it. Like overseas Pakistanis listening to us today, they should think about this. They could invest into a film that could actually be distributed where they are.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be here. I mean, I remember I had met Yash Chopra ji a few times when he was visiting New York, and I used to live there. And he was trying to open up the North America sort of circuit for Bollywood films. And I said, but Yash ji, people are not going to pay $8-9 to come see us guys. He said, "Nahi Atiqa, the Indian rupee will become nothing. We want to earn in dollar and pound." So this is like, it's you invest into something that brings a return. And it's not just about the cinema screens you have in Pakistan. It's the cinema screens you have around the world. If you tell a good story, you can take it anywhere.
Sure.
And earn in a stronger currency also with it.
Yeah. That's incorrect. Nobody's listening to Aamer Naseer anymore. It's only listening to Atiqa Odho. We've got lots of listeners, by the way, messaging.
Nice. And yes, I'd like to say hi, Amna. How are you doing?
She liked jive talking.
Yes, great.
Where does this take you back to jive talking?
Oh,
you use the word mixed party. What is mixed?
We used to have these mixed
What
parties,
does mixed
like where
mean?
boys were
Yeah.
allowed, because we were Jesus and Mary girls, right? So we were kept away from the boys. I was like, Mommy,
And
can
you
you
had to come
please
back,
go?
what, 10?
Huh?
10?
No, yeah,
10.
like 9 or something. It was like, just early. And
Go at 7 and 9 o'clock you're home. You can't.
So we used to have all these songs and nobody would dance with anybody. Everybody stare at each other across the floor and it was quite cute. We wear pedal pushers and glitter in our hair and it was quite cheesy.
So you didn't see what we saw. You didn't see the bell bottom days and with men with the big collars and.
I was born in 68.
Okay, well, you announced it. Wow, not bad.
Yeah,
well done. Why
wouldn't I announce it?
Fantastic. Well done. Yeah, okay.
So, I mean,
you missed out the bell-bottom days.
Yeah,
right?
I missed out. Well, I mean, they were there and they were not there. Like, my mom was still wearing bell-bottoms when I was a little toddler. And I remember there are pictures of her with me wearing, bell-bottoms. So, yeah, they were still around.
Yeah, they were hideous, actually. They were really hideous. I mean, the clothes back then were bell-bottoms and we went to the discotheques out here, and especially Karachi. So, I mean, people listening from Lahore, Islamabad, you can also message in and tell us. But you had like horseshoe and you had 3 aces. And the clothes they were just hideous. They were hideous.
No, and then the other thing is that I think the worst time for fashion was the 80s.
80s was cheesy.
80s was terrible.
Was really cheesy.
We had no sense of direction of where fashion was. Yeah.
What? The Farafo said?
God knows. The padded shoulders
the padded
and pedal pushers, which never came back in fashion. Pedal pushers were like these,
hideous.
The sort of 3/4 sort of trousers that are fluffed up, and I don't know why we wore them. Yeah,
really hideous. I mean,
so a lot of that fashion never came back.
Yeah,
luckily.
The 90s was slightly better that way.
Yeah, I think it's become more about chic fashion, over the years.
Yeah.
Simpler and cleaner, straight lines.
So what are you doing these days, Atiqa? As we speak, I mean, what are you doing?
I'm shooting,
like
recording. Like
what?
I'm working on a couple of serials right now, which will start to launch around November, December. And I'm doing my drama review show.
Mm-hmm.
And besides that, I'm just, taking it easy, enjoying life, enjoying my new pup. Because she's an American Cocker Spaniel. She's beautiful, and I'm really enjoying.
You were an entrepreneur too. You did.
Yeah, I have a business. I have my cosmetic line and stuff, and that's been around for about 14-15 years now.
And you're still doing that?
Yes, and we're primarily online, which is easy because it goes to places where people don't have shops and malls, like small towns also.
So there's never a dull moment for Atiqa Odho.
Well, I'm trying to make it dull. It doesn't. I don't. It's like, I'm still.
Are you
like
an early riser?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm. A lot of people think I'm very forgy in my ways because I'm very I come on time, I leave on time, I have a disciplined sort of routine, and I get very irritated if people sort of don't work around that, because I think that if you're organized and you're disciplined, you get a lot more done.
Yeah.
And I hate being on sets late night. A lot of times they're like 2 बजे तक चलेगा ऐसा आप चलाते रहे मैं आपको कल मिलूंगी.
And your partner's like that too. He's also disciplined that way.
He's getting better.
Yeah.
My husband is a little he can be a little bit of a loose cannon. He's
really?
kind of all over the place. Like, okay, Johnny, I'm going here now and I'm going there. I'm like, okay, but why? I mean, what a waste of time. I mean,
right.
he loves being busy.
Really?
I love being busy in a different way. I'm not very social anymore. I used to be better.
Right.
I'm quite antisocial. I enjoy my home life. I enjoy my time with my mother and my sisters and my children. And I enjoy just listening to good music.
Yeah.
Like I'm enjoying this right now.
Yeah,
it's a great,
This is fun.
It's such fun. You're so lucky that you can do this every Sunday. It's such
brilliant.
a detox,
It's brilliant. It's a great way to detox. I talk about cinema, play music. You gotta be kidding me. That's it. Time's
having fun.
Hours. Yeah.
And if people like my playlist, they can ask you to bring me back.
Absolutely.
Because I had great fun.
You know what? Just take over the show.
No.
Because I'll tell you what. No, I'll be honest. I think you have absolutely super taste in music.
Oh, thank you.
And you have an absolutely superb radio voice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, clarity, just the voice. So why don't you do retro from next Sunday onwards?
Good God.
Yeah?
Where will you go?
I'll come as your guest.
Oh, great.
Got lots of listeners listening in, huh?
No, I'll come in as a regular guest. I love this.
Oh,
I love
brilliant.
radio.
Oh, brilliant.
I used to actually host a show in New York, the tri-state area.
Really?
Park FM. We used to do all the classics with Naira Noor and Mehdi Hassan. I've done radio for about a year.
There you go.
And I loved it. And we had people calling in. Okay.
So I've done both.
Okay,
and
great.
This is a lot more fun.
Oh, yeah.
So I used to host a sports show for about 3-4 years.
Okay.
And this is a lot more fun. You want to say hi to your listeners?
Yes, well, I've got Fifi on WhatsApp right now. Fifi, do you want a song or should I just dedicate the next one to you?
Yeah, sure. She can send in a song. We'll play that
Great.
for her. You know, we were talking about cinema and everything, and I love old Pakistani cinema from the 50s and 60s. And one of my favorites was Aslam Parvez. I absolutely adored him. He always played that villain of the Kilab.
You like all the Kilab sort of scenes, okay.
One of my favorite is Sangeeta in Society Girl.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that,
Of
watch
course.
it. It's absolutely super. And great music. I mean, in the 60s, 70s, not only did you have great cinema, but even the music was absolutely super.
You know, actually, it's really funny because I went to an English medium school and I grew up in a very English medium home. But I loved watching Pakistani cinema and Pakistani music. And I don't know, I mean, I think that was my grandmother's influence, my nanny's influence, because she loved all her drive-in cinema. We used to go, we used to take tiffins of food and sit there and look at the, Nadeem and Shabnam.
You saw Nadeem's Playboy?
I don't think I've seen Playboy. I saw the, the Ainas and the Bandesh.
Aina, of course,
yeah.
but Playboy.
I don't think I've seen
played.
Playboy.
Oh, of course. That's
I
Nadeem.
missed it.
Oh, you have to
I'll
see it.
see, yes.
Shot in England.
And the first film I did was with him.
With Nadeem?
Yes.
You're joking.
You know?
Super actor.
So it was like I used to say to him, I said, Beg Sahab, I can't believe I'm working with you. I grew up watching you in drive-in cinema. I can't believe
Icon.
It was like icon, such a wonderful gentleman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, Aamer, I want to tell you.
Which was that movie?
Jo Dar Gaya was my first film.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So I want to tell you, I think I'm such a lucky girl because, I came into the industry and I got adopted. I met such fantastic people. They took me in immediately and they're like an extended family, 35 years into this. It's like, I can't tell you how blessed I am.
You're still in touch with Nadeem?
Oh, all of them, everybody. We all meet whenever there's an event or if we're working together. And I'm currently also, heading the Actors Association of Pakistan.
So can you do me a favor? Next time you have an opportunity to have him over, can you please I'd love to meet him. I'm a big fan.
Why don't you invite him to your show?
You know what? Would he come?
I'll ask him.
Oh,
why don't you invite him to the show? I'll send you his number and I'll ask Beg Sahab.
And I'll give you a reference?
Yes, of course. And
if
he can pick
works,
songs.
If that doesn't work, we'll go to plan B. I'll beg him.
Yes.
Wow.
He's wonderful. He's a lovely gentleman. He really
I'd love to have him.
Yeah.
Oh.
You see, you're missing the boat, Aamer.
Yeah,
you could have such fantastic people on this show every Sunday.
Right. Yes, absolutely. You actually would drive 17 hours.
Yes.
And it's your playlist.
From Karachi to Islamabad.
And you do this regularly?
My husband and I are in the car a lot on the motorway. And what we do is, because I have a captive audience, I kind of, play what I want. Or he enjoys the things I select because I do a mix of like classics and current. And also the other thing he enjoys is when I do the Desi stuff because he wants to improve on his language skills because he's also a burger kid, right?
Right.
And he also wants to understand the poetry. So we do a lot of Jagjit Chitra and, that kind of stuff. So it's great fun. It's like a long extended date.
So when he's listening to all this, it's like, for him, it's like a foreign movie with subtitles.
Yeah, he's driving, I'm feeding him and playing the songs.
Right.
And then when I drive, he kind of goes to sleep. So I don't get the kind of attention he gets when he drives. It's unfortunate. So I'm like, okay, you drive, I'll feed you and play the songs. There's no point in me driving. Yeah.
Do you know what, Atiqa? Time's just flown.
How sad.
I know.
It's almost
sad,
the end.
It's almost
We need to do this again.
Oh, 100%. It's been absolutely brilliant. There was so much to talk about. And we didn't talk about, we're going to talk about how Coke Studio is reviving and...
Yeah, and when we do this next time, it shouldn't be Atiqa centric, frankly.
Right.
Right now, it's because I've come on on your show for the first time, and there's an whatever interest. But I think it should really be more about us chatting about other things that happen in the world.
Absolutely.
Because that's more exciting anyway.
Absolutely. So somebody texted in, which Atiqa is this? And then says it Odho. Yes, that's absolutely right. There's Atiqa Odho with me. What we will do is that we will definitely have this again, and I must have Nadeem. I mean, that for me
Beg Sahab, of course. I'll do my best. I will.
Such a big fan of this. Atiqa Odho, thank you so much. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Until we meet again, have a super week. Hasta la vista.